I see this one more like she's emerging from some experience, and she's ready to let go of it, and she's ready to embrace the changes that will come from where her life is after. And I realized too, so I feel like towards the start of this mouth of a river, like in part one, there were a lot of songs that had a slightly like a brooding sort of thing going on with the music, where there's something kind of like building just a little bit. There was like a little bit of a kind of like, if you think about it, like when you're watching like old cartoons that would show like a forest, and you'll have like just the backdrop of the trees, and the trees like everything else will be really bright and colorful or cute, but then you've got the trees, and the trees tell some other like menacing story. I feel kind of like there's a little bit of that going on, like the way that I don't know why it's reminding me of that, but it's like kind of like that, where it's like the way that in the Princess and the Goblin cartoon, there's this thing every time it shows basically the woods, it's got all these it's like dark and twisted until she's finally like making her way down into where the goblins live in the caves. And then there's this whole like symbolism in those two books by George MacDonald about the goblins. The further dark they went because they were banished, but the more they embraced the dark, the more they became twisted up and disfigured. And as they kind of like the way that a flower that's in the shade sort of withers, but then when they're exposed more to the light, the idea was that the goblins who decided at the end of the first book to come up out of the caves, when they were in the sunshine again, it fortified them, and they slowly began to return to normal. And even the goblin animals that had become more scrawny and everything, like when they came out into the light and out of the caves and embraced basically the sun and the light, the metaphor is that it had a nourishing impact on them, and they were no longer so malnourished and everything. Anyway, the twisted up sound and everything, like there were little moments here and there in Mouth of a River Part 1 that kind of, like the music itself had some slightly, it's just kind of like a little bit of just atmosphere to it. It had like a little bit of a slightly menacing edge. And now in part 2, I feel like it's going towards something a little softer, and you're seeing it's like a transformation is starting, kind of, is sort of how I feel about this. And also, I wanted to say, you can see how this can tie in with blue, but I feel almost like it's from a different point. So it's like blue being like the water itself, mouth of a river being more like the wind pushing the water, almost, if that makes any sense. Like, and the wind, the way it like whistles through conch shells, the wind and the way that it the wind in the willows. I didn't even realize I was doing that. The wind in the willows. But yeah, the wind. I feel like part 2 seems to be, I don't know what it is about it, but it's like bringing to mind like that force of nature specifically. It's beautiful and I love it.